Hi, I'm Jojo Moyes. I'm the author of The Last Letter from Your Lover.
Hi, I'm Augustine Frizzell, and I'm the director of The Last Letter from Your Lover. This was a scene that I had really thoroughly storyboarded, and it was that look of her like turning around. It was so Grace Kelly, and I just couldn't wait to get that shot. When you're shooting something, you're like, I bet this is gonna be the trailer moment that they're gonna take, and they did, and I was so glad of her. She looked so glamorous in her hat. Seeing him for the first time, and I wanted it to be like a moment from the very first time that she lays eyes on this person that's gonna be part of her life.
Indeed. I'm afraid Larry's running a little late.
Perhaps not so marvelous after all.
May we offer you a drink in the meantime?
It's lovely seeing it on screen because there is a slight spikiness between them at the start. Anthony is unable to kind of hide this slight discomfort that he feels, and he thinks it's being in the presence of wealthy people, but actually it's also because he's just massively attracted to this woman. And I think that's reflected in how he behaves at the dinner table.
Browsville.
God-awful place, if you ask me.
And where this evening's exemplary host has a great deal of business, of course.
Well, I think that
Personally, I felt the Belgians were doing a perfectly good job of running the place themselves.
Well, with respect, I was there in 59, 60, and again in 62.
So you of all people should understand that mutiny and rebellion are an inferior and foolhardy
to
response.
centuries of oppression. I would suggest that taking back control.
Oh, that look of Shailene's, that's a shot that we played in reverse.
So won't be correct then in assuming that you were a supporter of Mr. Mobutu.
Larry, Mobutu's a dictator. I doubt very
Darling,
much.
I'm aware. Thank you.
The dialogue, I just wanted it to be really fast there, and it's very rapid fire, and then he's kind of awkward and he says something, and then suddenly you've got like a pause, and it's this really awkward pause that you have when you first meet someone, and then that's my daughter sitting to the left of Callum. This dress, I loved the last year at Marienbad, and there was all those costumes that's like mid-60s. They were all designed by Coco Chanel. And so I went to our costume designer and I was like, I want like that dress, but for Jennifer. And she created this, it's really like similar, but also totally different. And it's so stunning. It looked so good.
I think this was the first shot that you sent me, Augustine, when you started filming a still of this dress. And I remember just thinking, that's so Jennifer, and it's so perfect. I realized that I was going to want to see this film for the costumes alone.
Oh, good. Yeah. To be honest, we were a little, Shailene and I both were like very hands-on in the costume design, and the original dress that it's modeled after was black. And I was like, I don't want it to be black. And so Anna, our costume designer, came and she was like, I think it'll be beautiful pink. And me and Shailene were both like, oh, I don't know. Is it gonna be too like Barbie? And she's like, no, I promise it's gonna be beautiful. And I was like, what are the other options? And she was like, well, we could do like a light green. And then at the end of the day, I was like, no, I trust you, like, let's go with pink. And I'm so glad that I did, because it was just so good pink, and it looked so good in that setting. The dinner table sequence was, anytime you've got one of these huge scenes, which it's been cut down a bit, not too much, but you have so many characters and they're all talking, and so you're gonna need to get like a million angles. And so we just started wide and worked our way in. And then we just went in and got all the various coverage. And the main thing that was important was getting the perspective of Jennifer and Boot like noticing each other and seeing those little secret glances when they weren't, you see a lot with Anthony, like him just like taking her in without being obvious about it. And so that was important for the dinner scene. And then also, just placing Larry at like the head of the table, like he's holding court over this thing and it's just sitting there like the king of the room. And so really making sure we covered that. But it was actually, we shot it over 2 nights, which in the beginning I was like, oh my God, we're gonna have to, it was so much. There were so many table settings and it was just so ornate and really beautiful, but you could never tell that it was shot one night, everyone went home, and we did a whole other section and then came back and reset the same thing and did it again.
Well, it's pretty similar to the book, just a very condensed version. And the whole point of that opening sequence, the meeting, the dinner party, was to set up the dynamics both within society at the time, because what you work out pretty quickly is the men are in charge, the women are expected to be decorative. When Jennifer ventures an opinion at the dinner table, she's pretty firmly shut down by her husband. It shows the dynamics of a marriage and of a society. And it also shows that Boot, Anthony, is an outsider in that place. And the one thing that was a little tricky to kind of condense into the film as well as the book was the fact that in the book, Anthony has been very ill with yellow fever during his time as a foreign correspondent. It's one of the reasons why he's not meant to drink. So it's not just that he reacts badly to alcohol, but that he has, he could kill himself. And so I think throughout the book, there is a slightly darker thread running through it. But I think what Augustine has done with it is the perfect illustration of the dynamics that I needed to get across. And it's kind of, the lovely thing about watching it on film is it just adds a whole new element, which is a sort of swoony, dreamy, South of France kind of romanticism. You want to be there. You want to be there with those people. I don't think I would have wanted to be with the people in my book, but I want to be with the people in the film.
So when they first meet, you definitely want that tension. I mean, you want to see the unspoken. You want to see those glances and feel that there's a little something more there. Whether they know it or not yet, we need to know that as an audience. We're like, I think they're probably right for each other, righter than the other couple. So, you want to see that, and then maybe just the kernel of that, or even just feel it. So, yeah, that was important. Both my production designer and I had looked through a lot of Slim Aaron's photos of the time, and so those chairs I think are taken directly from some of his images. And so you've got the yellow and then the blue, and you'll see that motif as well, repeated. So you've got the stripes on the yacht, and then you've got the stripe on the umbrella, and then you've got it on the beach, and all these things. And so all that stuff is set pretty specifically.
I think the thing that I always pick up on when I see that initial scene of them meeting is throughout this story, Jennifer nicknames Anthony Boot. And it's because she's using the nickname of the reporter in Evelyn Waugh's famous book, Scoop. That's the book she's reading in that scene. And you might not notice it at first, but it just always gives me a little shiver of pleasure when I see her holding it. Don't miss The Last Letter from Your Lover in cinemas this summer.